Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley from EBN, which you probably all know by now is Effective Business Network. Today, I've got with me the amazing Alex Pink from Dreamshot CGI, which all sounds terribly exciting and Hollywood and wonderful. And he's going to talk to us a bit about, well, all things. Who knows where we're going to go with this. So, hello, Alex, and how's life treating you?
Hi, Glenys. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Life's treating me very well at the moment. I'm blessed with a couple of two children who are aged 1 and 2, and my third baby being this new business. So yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm good. So tell me a little bit about how you got to Dreamshot CGI. What because you're only a baby as far as I'm concerned, you know. So but what's the history?
So my business history goes back to about 2008 when I got a Prince's Trust Enterprise loan, which I bought an Edit suite with, which is basically a powerful computer. But back in 2008, a powerful computer is not that powerful by today's standards. So it's probably about as powerful as the average sort of office computer is today, but I had it in 2008. And I was doing editing on that, and I very quickly got into doing corporate stuff, green screen and sort of visual effects and motion graphics and all that sort of stuff. And through all of that, I was able to do sort of 3D CGI stuff, but it was very, very expensive to do in terms of the computers weren't really powerful enough to output anything of very good quality back then, without it being extremely expensive, either in hardware or time. So it was kind of one element of a whole array of things. And so over the next sort of decade and a bit, bringing us right through, I was sort of going around as a media production expert. Through sort of around 2016, 17, I sort of had a year out of business and looked at things and kind of thought about things a lot and studied life. And that was quite a nice period, actually. And then when I got back in, I was more involved in larger contracts. I was contracting on larger projects and so on for a while. And I was involved as a senior CGI producer in 2020 for about 9 months, and worked on all sorts of, a lot of automotive projects and others that were quite sort of large, projects where they'd go and shoot in the Grand Canyon. It's all kind of embargoed stuff, so I'm not going to mention any brand names, but they'd go and shoot in the Grand Canyons and they'd then CGI cars in and so on. And it was kind of a moment where I realized that the market's shifting here a little bit. It's a lot more feasible to output the same high quality that we've always wanted, but in a bit more of a higher quantity so that you can actually service a range of clients quite quickly. And it was in sort of the beginning of 2021 that an ex-client of mine, well, not an ongoing client, but the bulk of the work was done, that contract finished, were chatting around New Year. And I was saying, look, this CGI stuff is quite in demand at the moment and quite interesting to a lot of clients. So he'd also had a similar situation where he'd been in business for 20 years or so, a little bit longer than I am. He's older, but I won't say how much older. And and so we decided we decided to knock our heads together and get a new business going that was kind of the best of both of us. So he's kind of a design and business operations person, so design creatively, business operations behind the scene. I'm kind of a technical and CGI whiz, and I know the market and the strategic element of it behind the scenes. So that's kind of how we work together. And we were testing the market through February and March. We had a client by April and we needed to send them a deposit invoice. And then we quickly scurried to actually register the company and create a bank account, because I'm a fervent believer in not setting things up until the universe asks you to. Right. Find it tends to just push things away if you build all the business and but you haven't got a reason for it. So we kind of did things in the completely the opposite way. We're like, okay, can we have a deposit invoice? It's like, well, just wait right there.
Yeah.
run off and go.
Oops, we hadn't realised you have to do all that bit. Yeah, that's sort of the grown up. We're having so much fun and you're asking for a grown up bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we've basically just gone from strength to strength there. We had some targets that we've beaten, to put it bluntly, And so the business is growing. We hired our first full-time member of staff about 3 weeks ago, who's doing really, really great work. And we might come onto it in a little bit, but the last thing I'll say is the way that we work is very kind of post-COVID. So Vince, who's my business partner, lives down in Poole. I'm in Leigh-on-Sea and part of the Southend EBN group, and the member of staff that we've just hired is up in Glasgow. So we're quite spread out.
Yeah.
But he's remote controlling a computer behind me here in this room, which is quite secure because it's got quite a bit of security and so on. And it means that all the client data and stuff like that stays here, but he can remote control it from anywhere, and in this case from Glasgow. So it's quite a sort of modern digital age setup as well, which we're quite proud of.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I would expect no less. You're in an area of work that's very now, and so I wouldn't expect you to have steam-driven stuff behind you. I always find it quite strange when my computer gets taken over by somebody, because I have to sit on my hands because I want to go and do something. But yeah, that's state of art, really. So what is it that you love about what you do? Why do you do this rather than something else?
So there's kind of two aspects to that. There's one of the things I do believe that life gets a lot more meaningful when you actually want to contribute something that's of value to other people. And I think that really takes hold when you actually have kids, because you suddenly got something more important than you. But I don't think kids is essential for that. I think that it's just a feeling of being part of society and community and so on, that I wouldn't be able to enjoy something that was just entirely for my own enjoyment, if you see what I mean. It wouldn't be fulfilling even if it was fun. So the fulfillment of it comes from the fact that it's really in demand and it's really helping people. People have called up where they've got, something's been delayed in manufacturing, but they need imagery of it, and we can do it. We can do computer generated imagery, and then they don't need to wait for the manufacturing, and it solves a real problem for someone else. And so, that's the first thing that comes to mind, is that when I was testing out the market, there was a genuine question being asked, not in so many words, because it's more of a question that's asked and answered over some period of months, of out of the various fundamental skills that I have, what would be most useful to you? And I'm asking that to the community, and they've answered and said, well, CGI would be most useful. So I like that, but that creates a relationship with people where, in a sense, you very much are what you do. And because people like what I do and I am what I do, they kind of like me, and I quite like that. So I'm making lots of interesting friends. So I guess there's an element of enjoyment in that. But then on the more selfish side, I like beautiful imagery. Just before this call, I was directing the lighting of an automotive shot, and you really need to accentuate the contours of the car and so on. And that is really just enjoyable to me, and I've been doing that sort of stuff physically for a long time with actual lights in a studio. And so, it's kind of, it translates very directly across to be in a CGI context. So, well, I want a light over here, and we'll bounce it off the ceiling, and that'll get that contour, and and then we're playing with the intensity of all of those lights and so on. I enjoy that. I have a background in theatre. We've got a motion capture suit coming soon that we've ordered. So, I'll soon be prancing around in my home doing all sorts of acting for characters. We've got a Christmas commercial in production which has Santa coming down a chimney.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll be able to act Santa.
Well, I've got an elf outfit. If that helps, I could come and be an elf. I'm really good at it. I'm really into Christmas, and I have at least one elf outfit, and I insist on wearing it. From about December the 2nd, I'm on. I'm full focus.
Okay, so I'm expecting you at the group.
Oh, you will.
If
I come to any of our meetings, I dress up as an elf near Christmas. I mean, I don't tend not to do it so much in February, but also I once went to a networking event, not one of ours, and they said it's the Christmas one, so dress up. So of course I went in full elf outfit, and everybody else, and it was a lunch. I mean, it could have been worse, you know. And they were all dressed in sparkly. And I thought, oh, okay, sort of, oh, okay. So, I mean, I did have the option. I could have just taken the hat off and taken the big ears off, but I went with it. I just owned it for the whole meal, you know, and they all
Brilliant.
thought I was weird, but that's okay. It's not the worst I've been thought of. So, yeah, it's good.
Brilliant.
So, I can hear the passion in your voice. What I wonder is, if you go and see, so I go and see pictures a lot, and I see something and I go, oh, that's got to be CGI. It can't possibly be do. Do you, are you, if you go to the pictures, are you able to disengage your critical professional brain to just enjoy the moment?
So when you say the pictures, you're talking like I go to the cinema and watch.
Sorry,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
cinema. Yeah, pictures
That's
is
right.
normal.
So yeah. So yes and no. It takes a higher quality of film to immerse me. So I'm a little bit picky. I'm not going to watch a film for the sake of it, because I won't really, it takes a very high quality of film to immerse me, as I would say, like a child.
Yeah.
So, but it does happen. And when it does happen, it's absolutely magical. But there's also a level on which I appreciate it, that, so it's kind of like what, for someone else, there might be, you know, something might be scary, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, and so it scares them, and that's exhilarating for them. Whereas for me, it might not scare me because I can see the tricks and devices, but I think, oh, that's really well made, and that's exhilarating.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I enjoy that. But then when it's not so well made, you know, and a lot of stuff that we see on very popular streaming services that I won't name, are, you know, it very much to me feels like a first draft. So it's kind of like they've got the story, but it's so drawn out, and they say, oh, it's for binge watching, all the rest of it. I think, no, look, it's kind of like that. There was a president, I can never remember his name, and he wrote something. He said, I'm sorry for the long letter. If I'd had more time, I would have written it shorter.
Yeah,
And
I think it
and
might
I
have
just think
been.
you need to
I think
redraft these.
yeah,
Like,
it might have been Mark Twain. I think.
yeah,
But I
that's it.
might be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
I might be
yeah.
wrong. Mark Twain's one of my faves, so I tend to attribute almost everything to either Mark Twain or Florence Nightingale's another fave. So
Yeah.
So yeah, because we like old movies, and it's fabulous when you watch them and you just think, oh bless, you know, they've like, there's one called, I think it's called The Thing, and it's basically a huge ant, massive, but it's so badly done that it's fabulous, and it's badly done in part because of when it was made. Another bit is like, oh bless, that's all they had, you know, whereas you'd be trying to run out of the cinema because, you know, it was coming to get you. So yeah, it's
Well, yeah, and so that side of it, the does it look real thing, that doesn't bother me at all. You know, I don't need good vis effects to be involved in the film, and I don't think many people do. You know, I mean, you can go to the theatre and they can be acting to the fourth wall, and there's literally an audience there that you can see, and, you know, the arch around the stage that you can see, and you're still immersed in the drama. So for me, it's drama. It does tend to be that there's a higher quality of films in the past, and I think there's two reasons. One is, obviously we've distilled the past, right? So you only keep the hits, and stuff that wasn't so good is just not remembered. But the other thing I think is that it was so expensive and time consuming and laborious to actually produce a film in the past compared with today, that they really didn't put something into production unless they thought it was really, really good. Whereas now they'll just throw a lot of mud at the wall. And they're also, you used to have a correlation between camera picture quality was correlated with overall production quality. So, you know, because that was as difficult as this in a sense. Whereas now, that doesn't really exist in the same way. It's like you can have the picture quality of a really good movie with a terrible script and really bad acting and not a very good director. And so that correlation is lost. And I think that's been taken advantage of. I think it's coming to an end, but I think that was massively leveraged by those streaming services, when they first started coming out with their original content, that it looked in the trailer like, oh wow, they've made a cinema production. And then you'd watch it and it'd be this kind of, at best it would be a good story but not consolidated. So something that could, if it was written really well, you could have all the plot points in one scene, but they didn't write it very well and it happens over like 7 scenes. And so 2 of those scenes actually have no plot points in them.
And you sort of lost the will to live at the end of it. You've got it. I mean, one of the things I always, I'm a bit nervous about is when as I say, we go to the pictures, and that's a northern thing, pictures rather than cinema, but we go to the pictures a lot. And you see trailers, and what worries me is, have we just seen the film without without any dialogue? And it's all the crash bang wallops, you know, the new James Bond that's coming out. I've seen a trailer of it, and what I'm worried about is I think I might have just seen the film, but I'm not quite clear how. I mean, it's going to end because he's going to win, obviously. But yeah, I get a bit anxious about that. I watch trailers and think, I'm not sure I'm going to see that because I think I've just seen the film, really, as an add-on to the one. So you're not long in business-ish as self-employed, but tell me, what's the bit of advice I always ask this, what's the bit of advice you would have given yourself when you started if you'd have known it?
A lot of things. The one that immediately comes to mind is, if you're selling a Rolls Royce, don't be put off that most people won't buy one.
There's a guy,
that's what comes to mind.
There's a guy, and it's not personal, there's a guy called Steve Clark who says, if everybody bought a car that they needed rather than the one they wanted, the car parks would be full of similar cars. But we buy cars not just because we need one, but because we want that one or that one. And if we've got this one, we may be aspiring to that one, and we'll work to that. But you're right. And it's that thing about, it's not personal. It's not. If people don't use you, there's all sorts of reasons, and none of it's some of it's business, some of it's cost, some of it but it's not personal. It's not that they don't like you, although occasionally I think that might be the case, but that's okay as well. We can't like everybody.
When I first started out, a lot of people didn't like me, if I'm totally honest. I think I was probably quite awkward to work with. I was very, very technical. I wasn't a people person. It's not, I couldn't present it as an answer to the question you asked, because it's not like, what would I say? It's like, be nicer to people, but I think I probably underestimated how much people need to enjoy work. I think when I was young, I kind of thought, well, it's all about quality, it's all about productivity, it's all about, benefiting people in a kind of tangible way. But actually, a lot of people will say this, they know this in an employed context, because they'll say, what makes a job good is who you work with rather than what the work is. And that translates a lot in business. If you've got rapport, and you can have an enjoyable day with someone, and they can do the job well, then you're going to work with them over someone who can only do the job well. You've got to be able to do something unbelievably niche and unbelievably well to get away with being awkward at the same time.
I think there's certain professions and trades where you sort of think, oh, they probably spend quite a lot of time in a dark office on their own and don't come out to see people. I think also I would say that it's that thing about, you should be fun. I mean, anybody who's listened to any of my stuff knows rule number one for me has always been, it's got to be fun. Because if it's not fun, I could have stayed where I was in the corporate world, being paid a bucket full of money every month, which I earn, but that's a different story. But having all the trappings of a car parking space in London and a big office and all that, I could have stayed there and not had fun, rather than come out and come into this exciting world of self-employment. So rule number one for me, it has to be fun. And over the years, I've found that to be the case. My 3 rules, and some of them don't get past number one, because if it's not fun, I ain't doing it. That's for sure. Because one of my first jobs was in BHS, in their kitchens, in the washing up machine, Now that wasn't fun at all. That was like something out of a farce. It wasn't fun though to be in it. It was probably very funny to watch, but it wasn't interesting. So tell me a little bit as we finish. You've got 2 kids. And so what else do you get up to in your spare time? What do you do in your spare time that's not work?
Spare time.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, yeah. So there's more spare time actually, that rather than less, and I think it's actually people who are extremely busy in business. I see that as actually a strategic business failure, to not manage things. So as the business is growing, I'm getting more free time, not a huge amount, but I'm down to, only perhaps an odd sort of weekly catch up on a Saturday, and other than that, I've got the day off and Sunday off. What do we do? We try to, Sundays is the day that I really do have off. And we try to keep up a nice little routine there of playground, followed by church, followed by Pizza Express. So that's kind of like the family Sunday thing, which is quite, it can be a bit stressful at times, but it's all right. And certainly the Pizza Express and the playground bit are a doddle. Yeah, but that's what we try and do, and it's nice that the community can come back together a little bit more as well. So so that's that. I try and play sometimes a video game for like an hour, but because my brain is so involved in business, I need something I can really switch off to. So I'm kind of like playing the most immature, just shoot 'em up games or something like that. Or it needs to be a really old, like Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Right.
Believe it or not, I'll grab it, right? So, I've got an N64 controller, but with a USB that goes into the computer, and I can play. Yeah, I can play games from my childhood, and the reason is I don't have to learn how to play them.
No,
and so I can just pick that up, play it for an hour, and kind of switch off.
If you if you ever go to, because I'm aware at times is Tempest is fugitive, but if you ever go to New Jersey, there is, and the details I can't remember, but there is a museum of pinball machines, and basically it's all the different games, all that you've ever known, and that you ever, and you just buy a bucket full of coins and go in, and it gives you all the history of the art and all of that. But it's that thing that you said, we walked to the ones that we liked, and we were back playing them. Mine was Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, and we were back playing. Blazes was one that was something about world domination, but I can't remember what it was. And it was that, it was great because you automatically went back into, oh yeah, that's how you do. Yeah, that's how you do. So this has been fantastic. This has been, and as I said at the beginning, we never know where these things are going, and who knew we were going to be in a museum in New Jersey. That's my American accent from people who are listening in America. I'm sorry, that's sort of as good as it gets. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon. It's been really good fun. So thank you. And for you who are watching, please watch this to the end, because again, we don't want to mess with the algorithms. Please subscribe, comment, like, tell your friends. And what else? Well, come back next week, because who knows where we'll be going next week. Possibly the same in New Jersey, or maybe somewhere different. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Glenys. Cheers.
Have fun, everyone.